I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Brought to you by PayUp. Food, balls, and bad decisions.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft.
Food, balls, bad decisions.
We'll do it live.
Oh, I forgot to take the thing off every time.
Every time.
Every time it's a loop. Micheala's
Every
already
time.
like, what kind of show did I get myself on here? This guy doesn't know what he's doing. Welcome, everybody. It's Booze, Balls, and Bad Decisions. We're brought to you by PayUp. Tony's not here to tell us what all about PayUp. Benny, do you want to give the rundown real quick?
Yeah, I'll give us a quick rundown. Tony's in Cancun. That's what he does.
He's in the Dominican.
Dominican. That's
He's in
right.
the
He's in the
Dominican.
Dominican this week. I can't keep up with all his.
I can't. First United pays really well. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah. So he's in the Dominican, but PayUp is a peer-to-peer betting app that is in beta testing now that hopes to be ready for football season. So you want to make a bet with your buddies on the golf course, lay the points in an OU game, whatever you want to do. You log into the app, you put it on, it settles up, sends it directly to your account. Fantastic for all those deadbeats that don't pay. So.
Stu.
Excited
every time.
Excited for that.
So if you're watching this via YouTube, you see that we have a third guest. It looks a lot better than AJ normally does. So Benny, I'm going to let you do the introductions and tell us who's on here with us today.
Yeah. So Micheala Richborg, former OSU softball player, is actually the head coach at my alma mater now in Allen. So that's kind of how we got hooked up. I was talking to Caleb Baber, who's a good friend of mine, and Caleb said, "Man, you got to get her on. She's got some good stories. Played at OSU, and so I mean, what better time to do it than right in the middle of the World Series?" So, Micheala, we're glad to have you on. Thanks for taking
Super
the time. It's going to be a blast. So,
thanks for having me.
This is going to be a lot of fun. So, Benny, I'm going to let you take over the show for a little bit. I'll be back. My kiddos are calling, so you guys have a great interview. I'll be back at some point to pop in and tell her why OU is better than OSU multiple times.
Gosh.
She's already given me a hard time. She's already given me a hard time before we started, so I gotta give it to her a little bit. So, all right, you guys have fun, and we will see you shortly.
All right, Micheala, thanks. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. This is going to be a good time. I've been looking forward to it. Hadn't really met you in person, but we've texted some, and like I said, I know a lot of people that you know, and so definitely excited to have you on. So welcome.
Thank you.
So first thing we got to talk about, booze. What are you drinking? You got anything to drink on this podcast? What do you got in your cup?
I got a Dr. Pepper for today.
That's perfect. Nothing wrong with the DP. That's great.
I'm not a big drinker. I drink occasionally, but I'm trying
not on a random Monday night.
No.
Yeah. Wait till you get a little older. Kids start showing up, and you'll start. So no worries. Well, again, thanks. We appreciate you coming on. So I'm just going to dive right in. Tell us a little bit about you and kind of tell us a little bit about your background.
I'm from Broken Bow, Oklahoma. I graduated in 2017. We won the slow pitch state championship leaving my senior year. Went all 5 years at Oklahoma State, played there, got me a degree in leisure studies and recreational management, and a minor in marketing and a minor in special education.
Okay. So the special ed deal, I want to talk about that later, certainly for sure, but something that's near and dear to my heart as well. So want to talk to you about some of those things. But so how do you go from Broken Bow, Oklahoma to Stillwater?
It's actually a crazy story. So OSU was never in any of the conversations. When I was talking about playing, I honestly almost went for basketball. That's
Okay.
what I was leaning towards. But my assistant coach messaged or emailed Coach G before the state tournament, and I just so happened to have a good tournament going in. We were playing Newcastle, and I hit a foul ball 200 and something feet, and it almost hit him, the head coach. So he turned around and was like, "Oh, okay." I ended up hitting a home run that at bat, and then I guess he sat down and watched. I ended up hitting 2 home runs that game, and so I guess he came back the second day, and I hit another home run, and then he emailed my coach back and was like, "Hey, bring her up here for a visit."
That's what I'm talking
went
about.
From there.
So I've done some reading and kind of did a little bit of backstory on you a little bit. And so if you hear his side of that story, he says he has his back to the field and is not paying attention, and he hears the ping off the bat, and he says, I distinctly know that sound, and I distinctly understand that there are only a few people that hit the ball that hard. And he said, and I turned around and almost gets it by foul ball. So
Yeah.
that's his side of the story. So
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that? So what schools were looking at you outside of OSU? Where did you want to go?
Oklahoma City was probably my second or third. They were offering me to play both softball and basketball. But the thing with playing both is they overlap. So I would have missed like 15 games into softball, and it would be hard to juggle all that. And so I had a couple of JUCOs. I had USAO for softball and basketball. Had a couple other schools that I really didn't give any interest to once I got interested in OSU. So
Sure. So how did you pick between softball and basketball? I mean, obviously those were two things that were pretty important to you. So how did you pick?
probably because of my size. I was a power forward in high school, and you can get away being a little bit shorter. In college, going in being 5'8" against 6'4" girls, it wasn't a good matchup. So,
Yeah.
I felt like I would have been more successful in softball. So,
Awesome. So, I mean, obviously, you play Division One softball. Any Division One athlete that I've ever met, you're obviously a player. So, when did you realize, kind of growing up, that hey, I'm kind of a little bit better than the kids I'm playing with, or I'm noticing I'm the best player on this team. When did you think all that kind of started coming towards the front of your mind?
so funny story. I actually played baseball till I was 13.
Nice.
So I was juggling back baseball and softball. So I was playing more baseball until like junior high, I guess. And I think going into my freshman year, starting and then playing a little bit of more competitive travel ball, I was kind of thinking like I can actually hang with these girls that are committed playing at bigger schools. Because when I first started high school, I only had a couple of small schools that were really looking at me. And then I got on a travel ball team that had a couple of girls committed to Florida State and stuff like that, which we never got to play. We just practiced together.
Sure.
And I was hanging with them. I was like, I could actually play at that level if I wanted to, in which I didn't have anybody interested. But then when OSU reached out and was like, come visit and stuff like that, I was like, all right.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So you did baseball until you were 14. You said you played baseball and softball. How was that?
People thought it was going to be hard, but I grew up with 5 brothers, and my dad, of course, was out in the yard playing baseball. I actually played football for a year as well. So,
Football.
but
So tell me about that. What position you play in football?
I played tight end and defensive end for a
Nice.
K-8 school. So,
Nice. That's awesome. What about so you're doing some travel ball stuff. You get to high school. You didn't know if you wanted to play college. Didn't want to know if you want to play basketball, softball, what you wanted to do. End up at OSU, and obviously had a great career there. When you went to OSU, like as far as recruitment wise, did you do like the official visit? Did you kind of go through all that, or did you just say, "Hey, I'm coming"?
I had an unofficial visit just to get me on campus, and then I had to go to a camp, and then I went to a hitting clinic, and then I did an official visit on my own, which was kind of sucked. I didn't get to go with all the other girls in my class, but since I was so late, I went in like March, I think, for my official visit. So there really wasn't much going on other than softball and stuff. Because usually when you go for your official visit, you go in the fall when you go to a football game or anything
Right.
like that.
They sell you the whole campus, do the
Yeah.
tour, yeah, everything.
So I got a little drive through. It wasn't we didn't go through everything, but
yeah, but I mean, it sounds like you kind of had a pretty good idea that's where you
yeah.
wanted to go. So, all right, so you get to OSU. So let's talk a little bit about is that a culture shock coming from Broken Bow, southeastern McCurtain County to Stillwater, Oklahoma? How was that?
Yes and no, because it's bigger, but it also doesn't feel as big. It still has like a small home feeling. Like you still see a lot of people because obviously a bunch of people from down here go up there. So every time I turn around, it's somebody I went to school with or somebody I played against. So, and everybody around there is nice. Like it's not like softball just talks to softball. Like all the sports get along, all the coaches get along and stuff like that. So had a real home feeling. Had a bunch of friends there. So it wasn't
Awesome.
that big of a shock. The only thing that was a shock was how busy it was and the time management.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. What's an average day look like for a D1 softball player?
In the fall off season, we had workouts at 6 a.m. We would run at 6, and then going in as a freshman, you have your gen ed, so you have a lot of the early classes. I had an 8 o'clock English class, 3 days a week.
Oh my
So
gosh. Like comp
yes,
one, that's so bad. That's so bad at 8 a.m. Those
so
English professors, they're not human.
yeah, they're not very nice. So you would go to workouts, then we have a or a training table. It's like a cafeteria for athletes. So you had to go there between 7 and 10 is usually when it's open. So I'd go to workouts at 6, breakfast, class, have another class at 9:30 or 10, have another class, have practice from usually off season you have an hour practice because there's so many hours you get to do each week. So it just depends if you're in season or off season. So we would practice for an hour, individuals, which there's only like 2 or 3 people, so it's more one-on-one work. But then you turn around and then you might have another class, or you have something to do with like extracurricular activities. I was involved in 7, so I was an officer for that, so I had a lot of that stuff going on. And then we have training table for dinner, and then we had like tutoring, and then we have like study hall hours. You had to go in there and study for so many hours, and also gave lessons. So it just depends on the day.
Wow. So you have no time to do anything else. I mean, that is it. So how was the food at OSU? So you and I talked about this. You're Choctaw, I'm Choctaw. We like to eat. I mean, that's what we do. So how was the food at OSU?
Breakfast was probably my favorite. You had full everything. You had eggs to order. You could have an omelet. They had waffles, pancakes, biscuits, and
Oh
gravy.
yeah, that's all
Yeah,
we need. We don't need anything
yeah.
else. That's good enough
No.
right there. Yeah, that's good enough for some Southeast Oklahoma kids. There's nothing wrong with that. So, so you get to OSU, you get started. What was that like? Was the competition vastly different than what you'd seen at Broken Bow and on some of your travel ball stuff, or how was the practices and competition?
Definitely more intense and faster pace. Definitely pitching wise, down here, your average is like 51, 52. Every now and then you'll find somebody that's 60, but walking in and trying to hit off somebody that those 68 to 70 was definitely an eye opener.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of the World Series today. I was in and out of work and, saw the OU game a bit, but 74, 75, those girls are hitting now. I mean, that is insane. Yeah, that's did you pitch any? I mean, obviously you probably pitched in high school, but
No,
did you
that
didn't
was
think
the
about
one
pitching?
thing I did not pick up on.
Yeah, didn't have any desire to do it?
No, I took lessons for like 2 months, and I was like, you know what, I'd rather be on the other side of that, and I started catching. So
There you go. Okay. So you get to OSU, they recruited you to play outfield, right?
first base, and
First
then
base, and then move to the outfield. Okay. So talk a little bit about that. How was that transition infield to outfield at that level? Was it difficult for you?
well, going in, I've only played like shortstop and third base, and then they
Sure.
moved to first base. So a lot of people don't understand like that's a different like side of things. Like being on the
Sure.
left side for so long and then moving to the right side. It was definitely a little bit to get used to, especially the first base part. Digging balls and stuff is not as easy as it looks, and you don't always get the perfect throw. But going to the outfield, it was more of tracking balls, and there's a lot of footwork into it that we went over every single day. And I could tell you, I probably looked stupid the first couple of weeks out there trying to figure out which way to turn and turn circles, but I actually enjoyed playing the outfield. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. What type of like individual? I mean, you talked a lot about practice and doing individual drills and stuff like that. Was there some drills that you did that you thought, man, this really is awesome and has really helped me a ton?
I would say what we do is our circle drills. We throw in a circle, so you go from your different arm angles and learning how to throw to players on the run. Because there's a lot of times, like if you're a third baseman, throwing the ball to the second baseman on a bunt coverage, like they're not always going to be on the bag, so you're having
Sure.
to lead to the bag, and it's putting your throw in different arm slots. I think is a
Okay.
big thing to be good at, and then we do a lot of like fundamental things, like just little rollers, just hand-eye coordination stuff, is I think is important.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned throwing on the run, tagging, things like that. Let me get your thoughts on this. Florida State game, and I don't know the names. I'm terrible at names. Florida State game, the play from the outfield, the OSU girl gets tagged sliding into second, hits her in the head. What happens if Micheala gets tagged like that?
Actually, that was my best friend.
Oh,
that
was
got
it really?
tagged. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So bring it on.
I wouldn't be mad because I've actually tagged a girl from Texas Tech like that and did
Okay.
kind of the same thing. I tagged her hard and just walked off like it was no big deal.
I mean, this chick from Florida State walks off like she's Jeter. I mean, she just flips the ball. Doesn't mean anything to her. She's gone, So
But I would definitely be a little salty because that kind of hurts. And that's another thing that people is like, I would be wearing a face mask for that reason right there. And I'm just like, because I didn't wear a face mask either the last 2 years.
okay.
But I knew it hurt. So
Yeah. I mean, it looked like it. I mean, even though you're sliding and your body momentum's already taking you that way, I mean, you're still taking leather to the face with a ball
Yeah.
in it. So
I mean, you can't be mad either because it's not like she really did it on purpose. It's in the heat of the moment. You're just doing whatever you can to get the out. So
yeah, for sure. So what's the deal with softball girls? Why do we not fight? I mean, baseball guys fight. Why do softball? I mean, if you do that in a baseball game, that's probably a fight. So what's up
I
with the
don't
girls?
know.
They're just smarter.
I mean, we've had our moments where we've almost fought, obviously, in a Bedlam series, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we don't get as mad as easy, I guess.
Yeah, a little more laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I probably would agree with that. So not as much testosterone, I guess, floating around. So that's probably
we don't wear our
probably a little
egos
bit
on
with it.
our sleeves as much, I don't think.
There you go. So you get to OSU, freshman year, little bit of success there for you. I mean, you definitely appeared in a ton of games, but sophomore year is like your breakout year, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. I mean, what clicked for you? Was it just the additional year? Was it just maturity on your part? I mean, what clicked for you that said, I can do this and I'm a freaking boss?
I think it was my exit meeting after my freshman year. He kind of set me down because I did play a lot in the fall going in. I
Mhm.
started, and he said that he thought when I went home for Christmas break that something changed, and I didn't think so. I didn't agree with it, and it was one of those just like I'm gonna prove myself. And I think being in more games and being more consistent let me be more comfortable and just get out there and play. So,
Just getting the time. Yeah.
yeah.
So you and I talked a little bit about this. I mean, and I've got some questions coming from my battle girls. So I coach my daughter's 8U softball team, and that's one of the things that I tell them all the time is reps. I mean, we're playing in a tournament this coming weekend that we have no chance of winning, but we're going to get 4 games out of it. And so that's 4 games on a Saturday that we were never going to get. And so reps. Do you agree with that? What do you think makes you a little bit more successful in that area?
Muscle memory and not
Okay.
creating bad habits. I think once you do something consistently, it just becomes natural and you don't have to try as hard to be better or whatever, or a certain like swing or something like that. You can't change it every other day. Like it has to be something that is natural and a muscle memory.
Sure. No, I agree. I mean, it's the same as shooting a free throw, right? I mean, that's what they say. Shooting a free throw, it's hitting a softball is a little bit more complicated, I think, because of arm angles and pitches and breaking balls and all those things. But I agree, the muscle memory is great. So sophomore year, breakout year for you. Do you still hold the record at OSU? 14 home runs,
Sophomore,
right?
yes.
As a sophomore, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, because this is it. Tell me what was going through your mind. Top of the 9th, Florida State, runner on second. What is going through your mind there?
Actually, me and Jeff talked a lot before my last bat that she was going to throw me away. And I was like, yeah, that's all she's been doing. And that's where most of my power is anyway, is right center field. That's where most of my home runs are at. And I couldn't sit back on it and wait, in which she is one of the best pitchers in the country at the time. She hasn't gave up a home run in like 2 or 3 months at that point.
Yep.
And I was like, just put the ball in play, And I was fighting. I was like, okay, she throws it away, I'm swinging. And then I was just like, I just let it go. So.
Well, I mean, and what a great testament to your skills as a hitter, knowing the situation, knowing that she's going to throw you outside, knowing that my strength is going the opposite field, because we see this in baseball a ton, and I think you see it in softball some as well, but everybody wants to pull the ball, and I got to pull it. If you try to pull that, it's a pop-up,
Yep.
So having the discipline, having the muscle memory to say, this is an outside pitch, I'm going to take it and blast it out of here. And you did. I mean, how cool was that? Was that a cool moment?
It was definitely. I think I might have blacked out running around the bases and then going into home plate. So.
I mean, I think the only thing that could have made it better is at the bottom of the ninth, right? I mean, that's the only
Yeah,
thing that
no
makes
kidding.
it.
Yep.
But I mean, what a boss! I mean, you stand up there and blast one out here. She hadn't given up a home run, and I read over 100 at bats or something. I mean, it's just something crazy that she just doesn't give up home runs, and I got one for you.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, I just love it. Did you pimp that? I mean, I looked for some videos. And I didn't see it. Did we get a bat flip? Did we get anything out of that?
No, definitely not. I was more of one of those, like, if anything, I got to get on second if it hits the wall type of thing. So I was running out of the box.
Awesome. I love it. Did you know it was out as soon as you hit it, or you didn't think it was?
When I got towards first base, I knew once I saw it going a little further, and I was like, all right. And then I started getting hype around
Let's
the bases.
go. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Such a cool moment. And I mean, how cool is that on the biggest stage, the biggest moment, I mean, you've got that memory. So that's awesome. I love it. That's legit. So NIL started a little bit later. Did you guys have any NIL stuff going on whenever you were still at Stillwater, or how did that work?
That started like I want to say the spring of my last semester.
Okay.
So there's a couple of girls that got a couple of things, and then obviously Seth Wadley came in and did a team thing with us, but it got bigger obviously this past year.
Yeah.
But there was little things here and there, but it wasn't big enough until obviously after I graduated. So
yeah. So what types of perks do you get outside of the NIL? If you're a D1 softball player at OSU, what outside of the meals and obviously stuff like that, but what's some pretty cool perks that you guys get?
It's kind of hard to say perks wise because at the time there were so many rules of you couldn't accept gifts and you couldn't do that. And just the same thing, like if I was at dinner with like one of my teammates and somebody walks up and was like, "Oh, I want to pay for your dinner," like we couldn't do that.
Isn't
like,
that so ridiculous?
There's
That's
so
stinking
rules.
ridiculous.
And
I mean, the NCAA is a complete joke. I mean, it really is, and that's one of the reasons why. I mean, let's say you're at your hometown, even you're at Broken Bow, and you're eating dinner, and here comes Jim Bob Scooter, who's local legend there, and he tries to buy, and he can't do it. I mean, that's absurd. I mean, the NCAA, and I think they're getting worse, but I mean, they need to pull their heads out. I mean, that's terrible for a 19, 20-year-old kid.
And it's crazy because like I got really close with like an older guy in Stillwater, like was like a father figure, anything I needed up there. Just because I was obviously 4 hours away. If I need anything, I was able to call him. Anything from him, like birthdays or Christmas or anything like that, I couldn't accept anything just because he was a tie to OSU.
I would have took it under the table. No doubt. No doubt. I would have been Rep Bomard. I would have been taking money for not working at the dealership. That's my story. I promise you that. I mean, that if I'd have been a D1 athlete, you'd have read about Benny getting busted for taking money. So
I actually got a question for you.
Oh, here we go.
So I heard you called a teacher an old crazy bat to her.
Oh my gosh. Who told you that story?
I can't tell you my secrets.
Oh, that's 100% true. So we had this computer teacher, and I'm not going to say her name because she's still alive, believe it or not. She was 9,000 years old whenever I was in high school, and she's 9,020 now, I guess. But that was some of the lighter things that we did to her. And it's funny, like I say it, and then she said, "What did you say?" And me being me, I was like, "Well, why are you crazy like that?" And she's like, "That's not what you said. Get out of here. Go to the office." So, yeah, that's you don't need to listen to a whole lot of stories on me from those Allen folks. 99% of them are true, and 99% of them I'm probably not too proud of. So yeah, you got to watch what you hear over now in America. So what has coaching been like for you? How was that?
It's definitely a different side of the game because I've had somebody come up to me after a game and was like, I couldn't tell if you were excited, if you were mad. It seems like you was more intense than the girls were because I'm really competitive. It's like I'm over there standing. If they take a strike down the middle, I'm like, swing the bat. Like that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I had a good group of girls to start off with. I couldn't ask for a better group of girls. They worked hard and did everything I asked of them, came in and was learning from day one, wasn't scared to ask questions, wasn't scared of anything coming in. And which I had the opportunity to coach a lot of them for travel ball during COVID. So I knew a few of them from that. So it helped knowing a few of them. And obviously Coach Slayball and them was there a couple of years before me. They were my coaches in high school. So I had a couple of ties there already. So it helped knowing a few people. And a lot of them have helped me get my feet together underneath me and get going. So
Yeah. So you mentioned COVID, and I'm going to come back to your coaching a little bit. But what was that COVID season like? I mean, you guys are rolling. I mean, and in the spring, all of a sudden, we shut everything down. How heartbreaking was that?
it was definitely a hard couple of days. We were actually in Stillwater playing and had a couple of seniors that I was really close to and like didn't know if they were going to get another year or not. So it was hard, which being a junior, I knew I had another year either way.
Right.
But it was definitely hard sitting in there not knowing what was going to happen. Are we about to go play a game, or is our season over? Are we even going to get this year back? It was definitely hard going in because then you also had like the vaccines coming in, like trying to decide if they was going to make it mandatory or not,
Right.
and all the mask and stuff, which I have asthma. So
Yeah. So that's a
the
pre-existing condition. I mean, that's something that.
the whole mask thing was definitely harder on me than most people because we would have to wear it during workouts. We'd have to wear it during practice and everywhere we went. Even during games there for a while, we had to have them on if we were even 2 feet from somebody or whatever.
Which,
So.
I mean, we could spend days talking about that. But so now back to coaching. Sorry, I had to get your thoughts on that because I know some good friend of the podcast. He coaches down at Silo and is the boys basketball coach down there, but he's also the assistant girls coach. And at the time, Silo was undefeated. I mean, they are literally in the parking lot at the big house in Oklahoma City when everything closed down. And so it's just, I mean, I think about, kind of back to, some of my days in high school and things. And I mean, something like that would have just crushed me. And being a D1 athlete and, we're about to make a run to the World Series. We're, trying to, get to the super region, things like that. I mean, it just seems like it would be almost debilitating for that group of folks.
Yeah, I'm glad I was in college because if that would have been my senior year of high school.
Oh, can you imagine? Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten my state championship in slow pitch and stuff like that. Like I would have been devastated.
Yeah, I agree. So back to coaching. You're coaching now at Allen. Now, you talked a little bit about your majors earlier. I didn't hear any education in that. So where's the coaching coming from?
I actually started a minor in coaching because I thought that was the path I wanted to go down. And then I did special education because I honestly wanted to be a part of like the Special Olympics organization. Like that was my goal eventually. Because I did like volunteer and do stuff for Special Olympics while I was at OSU because obviously the Special Olympics stuff is held in Stillwater.
Yep.
But I never got to go and work that because it was always during either
had
a game series or we were away. And then Coach Slayball and them reached out and was like, the special education spot's open and you could coach softball. And I was like, okay, like I do camps and I do lessons. I was like, maybe this is something I want to do, in which I love kids. So I was like, I'll try it for a couple of years. And if I don't like it, I have a couple other things in my back pocket that I can go do. So I guess the special education part took more interest than the coaching part at first.
Okay. So talk a little bit about that. You and I texted a little bit about this. Everybody that knows me knows kind of my situation. And, I grew up with a special needs sister. She died tragically in a car accident, but those things are, near and dear to my heart, whether it be, just learning disabled children or whether it's, genetic deficiencies, things like that. I mean, those things are something that's special to me. So there's got to be a story there. I mean, how did you develop that passion?
In elementary school, I was in probably kindergarten or first grade. My mom's best friend was a special education teacher in the school, and my mom would help sub and be up there as a para at the time, would help with one-on-one kids. And there was a boy in there. His name was Jade, and I thought it was the coolest name because that was my middle name. Like someone had my name.
There you
go.
So
at that age, I thought that was the coolest thing. and he was told that he would never walk or do any of that. And going into second grade, he had his cane walking up and down the halls. And it was like the greatest thing I've ever seen. I was like,
Yeah.
unbelievable. And I would walk anytime I saw him, I would talk to him. And then ended up, my stepbrother has a boy and a girl with Down syndrome.
A
So,
boy and a girl.
yes.
Okay.
So, that is not common to
Super
have.
rare.
Yeah.
Super rare with siblings. Yeah.
And that's the only two they have.
Wow.
So, and I got close to them because I guess obviously not having somebody that I was with a lot, and then just having her out in public when I would keep her, just seeing how people looked at them, and which going to school and taking classes is like, disability isn't a part of somebody.
That's
It's
right.
just like they can still do things that we
That's
can't.
right.
They just do it a different way,
That's
and people
right.
don't ever see that. They can't see past that part, and
That's
I think
right.
that's what's more eye opening than anything.
Yeah. Hell, that'll preach. Come on, sister. I love it. No, that's, I mean, and one of the things that, that I grew up with, and Chad Colbert really well. I'm sure you got to meet Adam. Adam's a mascot at Allen. I mean, Adam is he is Mr. Allen. I mean, it's just, and like you said, I mean, there's so many things that Adam can do that I can't do, and there's so many things that my sister could do that I can't do, and having a heart for that, and being able to appreciate that, and being able to look at that individual and say, your disability doesn't define you. I mean, I love that from you. One of the things everybody always said about my sister was, my sister had a rare disease called Soto syndrome. It's super rare in the United States. It's not as rare in the UK, but super rare here. And she faced some of the same things as you were talking about. She's never gonna get out of diapers. She's never gonna walk. She's never gonna talk. I mean, she crushed every bit of those.
Yeah.
And then she had such an aura about her. If you talk to my sister, she would get so frustrated because she would talk and people wouldn't understand her, because sometimes she talked fast and she would, say some different things. But in her heart of hearts, and that's how my parents raised her, was, you are fine. You are going to do what we do. We're not going to exclude you from anything. Where we go, you go. And my sister thought that she was perfectly normal and everybody else was the ones that were messed up. I mean, she would say stuff to us all the time. She's like, "Can you believe this guy?" And I'm like, yeah, Shelby, we get it, so. Yeah.
About Adam, I actually see him almost every single morning in Quick Pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam's the greatest. I mean, he is. I mean, he just, I grew up, I was in between Justin and Chad. So I don't know if you met Chad's older brother, Justin, but, Justin, superstar, played at OSU, drafted, all those things. And then Chad played at OU, but I was kind of sandwiched in between those two. So, Adam is a great, great, great guy. And I love how the community just embraces him. And you won't find anybody more passionate about Allen sports than Adam Colbert. I can tell you that. So, yeah. So what are we doing outside of so we're teaching special ed, we're coaching. What else do we have going on?
I just took the job of coaching a travel ball team with the Epic organization.
Okay. So I don't know what that is. Tell me about that.
So it's a 16U team. They're out of like the Norman, OKC area. So I'll just on the weekends and like 1 or 2 days a week, we'll practice with them and take them to showcases and help them get to the next level if they want to play college. So. And
those are all kids from that area, or they're trying out from all over?
They're trying out. We have a couple of dates set in July and the first couple of weeks of August. It's basically anybody that wants to come and try out can come and try out.
Okay. What are those dates? Tell me those dates again, and we're going to get those up.
I don't have them on me right now.
Well, you can text them. Yeah, text them to me, and we'll get those dates. And we'll start kind of spreading the word on that. To get you guys.
I think it's on Facebook. I shared it. I might have shared it, but I'll send it.
I'll look and find out, and we'll go from there. So talk about your team coming up, right? So what are you guys doing this summer as far as the Allen girls? What can we look forward to in the fall? Who's some standouts you got? I know one, and I've got a feeling that this guy probably is the one that told you the story. Caleb Woodward is my best friend since we were in first grade. I mean, it's just how we've been. So I know he told you that story because he was sitting right beside me. So Cherish, I know Cherish is a great player. She takes after her mother. She doesn't take after her father. And then, you got the Prentice girl as well. So talk a little bit about what we got coming up for Allen softball.
Well, we have exactly 9, maybe 10 girls, so we're definitely
Girls,
gonna
come
have.
on. Allen girls, get out here and play some softball.
No kidding. So coming off of last year, which we only had 10 girls last year as well, but coming from like 2 years ago, they only won 1 game, and
Yeah,
then they were about a little under 50% last year, and then we went to 24-12 my first year.
that's right.
So I think just coming in and working with them and helping them learn their own strengths to know what they're good at and some things they need to work on, because small ball might be what we take advantage of this year. We have a couple of quick girls that could probably lay down a bunt and beat it out, steal some bases. Won't have as much power as we did last year, so that's something that our girls are going to have to understand, that we all can't hit home runs even though as much as we want to.
Sure.
But learning new positions as well. Going to have to move people around to figure out what our best option is to win a game. So
Yeah. So what you talk about moving people around at younger ages, let's say, 10U, 12U, junior high, high school, do you think that, like you said, you played shortstop and third base? Because here's the thing, in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, you were probably the best player on the field about any time you stepped on there. So of course you're going to play shortstop. Of course you're going to hit 3-hole. Of course you're going to do these things. But do you think for the younger softball player, do they need to learn to play the outfield? Do they need to learn to play both sides of the infield? Do they need to catch a little? What do you coach and what do you teach as far as position changes and things like that?
when I give lessons to girls, especially at a younger age, I have a couple of girls that are like 9, 10, and 11. I do infield drills and outfield drills, because if you look at any college roster, a lot of the girls played shortstop or something in high school.
Sure.
Or you have a few true outfielders, obviously, if you're fast and stuff like that.
Or
But a lot of
left-handed.
people that are true.
Yeah.
If you're in the outfield, probably some of them probably played the infield in high school. At the end of the day, it comes down to, how bad do you want to be in the lineup? Because you can't walk in and be like, oh, I'm the shortstop. Well, there's probably 5 or 6 other people that's played shortstop in high school. So I think it's best for everybody to learn any position and
I
both
agree.
sides. So
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, and what does that do to you as a player? I mean, it just makes you more marketable, right? I mean, I can
Yep.
play center field, I can play first, I can play third, I can catch if we need to catch in an emergency,
Yep.
So I think that's a great attitude to have. So how do you coach that out of those? You're going to do this travel ball team, and they're 16 years old. They know way more than you do. They're
yeah.
smarter than you. They're better than you. Back when you played, you didn't have to face the challenge that they play. Way back 3 years
Yeah.
ago. Whenever you were in your prime. But so, how do you coach that out of those kids that say, hey, I'm a shortstop. I'm not a left fielder.
I use the story of me playing in Clearwater. We started out when, I want to say it was probably 2019 when Sam Shaw was there, because she was also playing outfield some when she wasn't pitching, first base some. And I started in left field in one game, same game. I started in left field, couple of innings, went to right field for a couple of innings, and also played first base all in one game. So just being able to be utilized in that way to keep yourself in the lineup, because if you come in and you're like, oh, I only play shortstop, well, if he has a combination that he wants to move somebody else to help the lineup and win, and that's the only position you can play, obviously you're going to get booted to the end of the line. But if
Right.
you can play multiple spots, like he moved me around, he moved a couple other girls around just in one game. So that just shows that if you can play multiple positions, they're going to keep you in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it's, I mean, my daughter, she's going to come on in just a minute. She's got 2 riveting questions for you. She can't wait to ask them. So she's going to come on in just a little bit and ask. But that's one of the things that I work on with her is, she plays short some, she plays first some, she plays outfield some, because I mean, I really want her to be versatile and to be willing to do whatever it takes to help the team. Because I mean, you're in the top 1%, right? I mean, you're the top 1% that made it to D1, that was successful in D1 and played in D1. There's not very many of those folks out there. There's just not. And so learning what it takes to be a part of the team, and then learning, how do I set my pride aside? How do I set this down? Hey, I've been batting 3-hole my whole life, and now you want to make me bat 7th? I mean, how do you balance that? How do you coach that?
I think it's just learning how to accept your role. and not playing for yourself, playing for your team. Once a kid can learn to play for their team and the person beside them, it'll just make them so much better as a person and as a player.
Man,
'Cause at
that'll
the end of the day,
preach.
this isn't an individual sport. Just because you might have went 3 for 3 and didn't have any errors, but your teammate got out and had a couple of errors, like, it doesn't matter what you did at the end of the day, the team still lost.
Right.
So nobody's going to look at individuals. It's going to be more of overall.
Yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
if you
If you want an
can,
individual sport, go run track. I mean, go play golf. I mean, I just, I mean, and you see it a lot now. And I think, with the NIL and with, other situations, I mean, it just, well, I play here or I don't play or I go somewhere else. I
yeah.
mean, it's just, it's tough. So the transfer rule, so that was enacted, right? So did you ever consider transferring? Did you ever have those thoughts? Were you going to leave or do any of those things?
Yes and no. More of it came down to my teammates. I loved my teammates. I had nothing against them, but it did get challenging not wanting to leave to maybe have a better chance of playing somewhere else. But I'm also one of those that I don't quit, and I don't give other people the satisfaction to think that they made me quit.
Yeah.
So it was one of those, and I was like, I'm going to keep proving myself every day, no matter what it takes. So
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. I mean, what a story. I mean, I know I've seen some of your, the Choctaw Nation stuff that you do and work closely with them, but I mean, really and truly, I don't look it obviously, but my great grandmother was full blood Choctaw. I mean, she spoke
Preach.
Choctaw.
Sorry,
God,
I had to
get
jump
outta here.
on for the.
Get
I don't
out
look.
of here. Where have you been? But
I've been hiding in the back listening.
So my grandmother was full blood Choctaw, and my great grandmother. And when we went to her house, that's what she spoke in the home. And having a lot of those values instilled into you at a young age. I mean, I think that just speaks to our culture and it speaks to our heritage.
Yep. Hey, I'm the same way. I got to prove I have a card 95% of the time.
Oh, you're way more Choctaw than I am. I can tell you that. So I tell people,
Listen, I'm going to jump in here for a minute. If anybody asks you for a card, they're just wanting to see your ID. They're wanting to see. Now, Benny, I can see him stopping Benny literally any checkpoint you have, but I don't see him stopping Micheala.
I tell everybody I don't give blood because if I give blood, I'm gonna lose my percentage, and I can't afford to do that.
Yes, you don't need to be giving blood, bro.
Yeah.
By the way, you guys are talking serious things, and good grief here. And I was looking at Micheala's Twitter, and there's a TikTok at the very beginning. Did you guys already talk about this?
Oh, if this is embarrassing, she's putting her hand. She wants to come at me for a senior level computer class. Bring this on, Chatty. Tell me about this.
Well, I can't. I'm trying to. Micheala, move your phone back just a little bit for us. So I'm going to need you to recreate this TikTok dance. I see
we got a TikTok
out.
Dance?
We see some dancing. Oh, if I can figure out how, while you guys are talking, can continue on the interview here because I just busted in for no reason at all. But I'm going to see if I can drag this in and we can show it to all of our listeners.
We got to see it.
Because we got some watchers. I know some people are out there watching this, and I know some people are going to watch it later. And they definitely need to see Micheala's moves here. She's at the very beginning. I mean, like it's pretty good. So I'm gonna jump off again. I just wanted to jump in a minute ago and say that Benny needs to have his card checked every checkpoint they have.
So I don't give blood. So.
I hope he don't figure that out.
Oh, I hope he does. We got to see. I mean, I'm telling you, you want to come at me over being over some. And I was a turd. I promise you. I was 17 years old. I was a turd. So. That's good stuff. Well, so while Chad's working on that, I've got my daughter here. She's 7 years old. We've watched some videos of you. She is enamored with softball right now, and she wants to wear the headphones. So we're gonna put the headphones on, and she's got 2 questions for you. She's gonna ask. So
okay,
come on, sweetheart.
Okay. How do you fix your hair before a game?
Actually, someone else fixes my hair for me half the time. But most of the time, I'm the last person to get fixed because I was the one braiding other people's hair.
Okay.
What's your second question?
Do you like hitting or fielding better?
I like hitting better because it's more individualized. So, but I also like getting people out. So that's a tough question.
You got anything else you want to ask her? All right, tell her thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I have a question for you real quickly.
Okay.
And I cannot figure out how to get this video off here. So you are so lucky because it is on loop in my background right now. I am watching Shayla dance. It's her and two teammates. It's you in the front, right?
I don't know which one it is.
Oh, I mean, I think you know which one it is.
We're gonna send a link out. We'll post the link.
I'm retweeting it right now.
Oh gosh.
It's a line dance. It looks like here's the deal. I'm a honky. You guys are all in sync together. I don't want to say what you're doing because the words I would use probably aren't the best. But it's a great video. I just retweeted it for everybody out there watching.
All right, we're gonna blast that. Socials are gonna get.
It's gonna go out there everywhere.
See that, so.
Great.
Former head coach at Allen. No, I'm just kidding.
No, she's not going anywhere. I can tell you that.
She's coming to Durant. We're gonna recruit her down here to Durant.
No, you stay away.
No,
You
we just
already
got
took
Jimmy
a
White.
Broken Bow person.
Oh, did we? Wait. You're a Broken Bow girl?
Yeah.
I didn't know you're broken. See, I missed that part. I missed that part of the interview. I gotta go back and watch it. So
this is a perfect segue. So the name of this podcast, Booze, Balls, Bad Decisions. So we talk about booze because that's what we do. Talk about balls, football, basketball, softball, tennis balls, whatever it is at the time. Bad decisions. So
I like that.
I've got many well documented bad decisions, but I've never been arrested, never been in jail. So that's a plus.
Not a girl.
So Micheala, tell us, give me one bad decision that you made at OSU. Outside of the TikTok dance, and we'll determine if that's a bad decision or not. I'm pretty big deal on TikTok myself.
I'm pretty frustrated. I can't get this thing up here.
I wasn't really that bad, so I was definitely a rule follower. But I did break into a pool and got caught.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear that story.
We got to hear that story. We got to hear it.
Tell us the story.
So my apartment complex closes at 10. Well, what person doesn't want to go night swimming?
Yeah, absolutely.
So of course I invited friends over, and music was too loud, and here comes security and kicked us all out.
And this is at OSU, right?
Okay, that's not even that bad of a story. I mean, my 10-year-old's done worse than that.
But there was alcohol and everything left involved.
All right, well now we're getting better.
So did you pull the do you know who I am card?
No, I jumped the fence and ran and act like I didn't know anybody.
That's perfect. That's good stuff.
Okay, so I have a question. You guys may have already talked about this. So if you did, just stop me. It's okay. I'm used to being an idiot. So I'm gonna ask an OU OSU question. Did you guys talk about this much?
We haven't yet at all. We haven't touched on Bedlam at all. Touched on.
Did you grow up an OSU fan? How did that?
Definitely not.
So go ahead. Sorry.
My dad's a diehard OU fan.
Did he put the orange on and come to the games?
He did, but he made sure it all said softball.
I love it.
That's a good dad.
I love it. So I'll be honest with you. I in preparation for this, I thought, man, I need to. We're me and Chad, AJ, our absentee third stooge. We're all big OU fans. AJ doesn't think that he is, but he is. But
he lived in Stillwater for a long time, though.
Yeah, so he went to LSU, so we give him a hard time about that. But I'm thinking, man, I need to at least wear some orange. And I looked at my closet. I have no orange shirt, so you get the Ric Flair shirt. You got Ric Flair.
You got Cubs for me.
Yeah,
Little League Cubs.
But I'm telling you right now, I hate the Texas Longhorns with every passion and every ounce of my body. But if any of my kids go to Texas, you're going to see Benny throwing up the hook 'em. I'm going to be in Burnham. I promise you, I will not. My kids take precedent over a little bit of an alma mater rooting issue.
So my question was, though, you didn't grow up an OSU fan, but you get there. Obviously, you love it, right?
Yes.
So for fans, I grew up an OU fan. I always hated Texas, always disliked OSU. For fans, it's a big deal. On the team, day to day, is Bedlam a big deal? Is it a rivalry like you guys, or is it just another game on the schedule?
It's definitely a big deal. Going into that week, he has a sit down talk, and we have a meeting. Treat this like any other week. I know nerves are going to be high and this and that, but you have to treat it just like another week. So it's obviously unspoken, but kind of spoken of during that week.
That's almost like backfires on you. Hey guys, this is just another game, but we're going to have a meeting about it and tell you next week.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really works for you there.
So you guys, I mean, you win the Big 12 championship your senior year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
hold on, last year you were a senior, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, last year was.
Oh, rock
Yeah.
on.
So I mean, how cool is that? You win the Big 12 championship. I mean, OU wins the national championship, but you still say
he had to put that in there, didn't he?
it's just a subtle kind of needle, you know.
I got the ring to prove it. That's all.
Boom.
That's all that
I wish you would
matters.
have wore it. I'm telling you, man. When I was a kid, and even some of my, I mean, for a state championship, I mean, I probably would have given up a toe or a finger. I mean, I seriously going to cut my pinky off and give me a.
There's a lot I'd have given up as a kid because you don't realize you're going to need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just, and so talk a little bit about OU's going to the SEC. That's going to happen next year. Obviously, that's a football move. Everyone knows it's a football move. OU and Texas are going for football, but all the other trickle down sports that's going to affect. I mean, basketball, obviously, baseball, but softball. So I mean, there's a very good chance that OU and OSU may not play again for a few years. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's going to be tough because that's one of the biggest rivalries in any sports, especially football, softball. And I think it also puts a relief as well as if we won't play them into the playoffs. So we're not playing because there was one year we played Texas 7 times. We played them 3-game series, a 3-game super regionals, and then we played them in the Big 12. So, I mean, if we're going to get stuck playing them in the playoffs, it's kind of hard playing them back to back to back. So it kind of goes both ways. So
for sure. So OU punches their ticket today. Obviously, like I said, I didn't get to watch it all. I saw some of the highlights, saw the score, obviously. But so who is your pick to get to the championship series with OU? And what do you like to see coming out of that?
Florida State actually beat Tennessee to go and play them. So it's
I didn't see that. I missed that.
Florida
okay,
State.
so it's Florida State, OU. So give us a breakdown there.
I think it's just going to come down to hitting because obviously both pitching staff, as you could see today, OU and Stanford went into 9 innings. I mean, and then the pitcher from Florida State changed her role for a while to save her arm, and she's doing great right now throwing. Sandercock, I don't know how to pronounce her name. And I should know. I've played her a million times the last couple of years. But I think you got to be able to put up runs against OU because just like today, it was 2-2 for the longest time. And once they go through the lineup a couple of times, obviously their hitting's going to get a lot better. So it's going to come down to who can score the most runs.
So let me ask you that too. So are you picking OU to win, or are you picking Florida State? Who are you picking?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll come back to. So you talked about going through the lineup, and again, I'm up until about 2 years ago, I didn't know a softball from a tennis ball outside of the size. I mean, I didn't grow up with softball. I didn't have any. My daughter started getting into it, and so of course, me being a dad, I'm going to get into it too. But you talked about, and you mentioned this, and I think it's funny because they mention it every softball game I've ever watched is, well, this is the second time through the lineup. This is the third time through the lineup. How much does that affect you as a hitter whenever it's, okay, I know everything about this pitcher. I know where she likes to throw, but today, this game, this is my second time to face her. How much did that give you a chance of improvement to hit it?
I think just being able to see and get my timing down, being able to get my timing down off of her windup really helps. Also knowing what's coming and paying attention to other people's at bats. Like, what is she using to get this person out? What is she throwing to right-handed batters? What is she throwing to left-handed batters? And just getting a sequence down. What is she throwing in an 0-2 count? What is she throwing when she's behind? What side of the plate is she throwing more to? So
such a mental game. I mean, it is such a mental game. So obviously, I grew up, coached high school football for a little bit, but do you guys watch film on pitchers? Do you just understand tendencies? What do you guys get as terms of, and obviously you're probably, and maybe you are, you can shed some light on this, but a regular season game, you're probably not digging into it as much as you are in the Big 12 championship, regional, super regional, World Series, things like that. So how does that work for you as a hitter?
Everything nowadays is you can't hide anything. Because a couple of years ago, it was, here's one film for this, but there's so much stuff now that you could go in and click what did she throw in an 0-2 count, and it'll pull up every single pitch from that whole year.
That's awesome.
And stuff like that. What did she throw to right-handers in this count? What is her percentage of first pitch strikes? So it's like crazy how far they can break everything down to now. Like you can break it down to every single pitch, every single count, every single out. So it's crazy what all they can find and break down and give to each batter.
So was that you? Are you a data and analytics player, or are you just I'm going to go out there and beat you player?
I like to react because the more I get in
Boom.
the box, then I'm like, okay, on this 1-2 count, she's been throwing this, and then she's going to throw me a rise ball. Or she throws a changeup at this count, and then she's going to blow a fastball by me. So I like to know what she has or what she can throw, but at the end of the day, I'd rather just get up there and react with my own eyes.
Yeah, I like that.
I do too.
Just fly by the seat of your pants. Have a general idea of what she's going to throw or when she's going to throw it, but otherwise, just get up there and blast it. I love it.
Dude, I'm going to tell you what, Benny, by the way, this off the subject, you are 2 for 2 on guests. I could sit here and listen to her talk all day.
Oh, me too. Yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. No,
Micheala, you're definitely going to have to come back on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. I want to get back to the World Series. So you got Florida State. So, and again, take this as, and the majority of the people that listen to us, they don't know jack about softball either. So how impressive is OU's win streak? And then give us a pick. Give us a pick for the World Series.
Definitely hard. I mean, that is crazy to have that many games. I mean, obviously it's a record now, 51 today. It's hard to, because at that point you're playing with a target on your back. Like everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody. You're getting the absolute best from everybody. Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's very impressive. As much as I do not like them, but at the end of the day, you got to give it to them. I mean, they put the work in. They're talented. You can't take that away from them. I know a couple of them. I've played against a couple of them for a couple of years. But at the end of the day, I respect them, and you can't take away anything that they've done. But I just think they're so used to playing on that stage, in which I look at it the same way as we play a lot of games on that field, and they play a lot of games on that field. I have a feeling that OU is probably going to win it again.
So there's a lot of national hype right now. There's a lot of there's a couple of Tennessee bloggers, a couple of Florida State morons out there that are lobbying to get the World Series moved because they say it's such a home field advantage for OU and OSU. Do you agree with that?
I actually had that conversation today. I do agree because at the end of the day, like we play Big 12 on it, and obviously it is a different atmosphere, but I look at it as I want to travel as well. I want to be able to travel somewhere and go and play and say, oh, I made it there. Because I'm also from Oklahoma. I played high school there. So I've been playing there for years.
You've been playing on that field forever then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize they played so much there.
Yes. So, and then also OU started hosting like a tournament there as well. So not only do they get those games there, they get the Big 12 championship there, and then also the World Series there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and, I think that whenever, if you look back on it historically, whenever Oklahoma City put that bid in, I think that it was scheduled to be like a destination like Omaha, right? I mean, you say Omaha, college baseball World Series. Say Oklahoma City, and I think that that's kind of but you don't see Nebraska winning every single national championship or 2 out of the last 4, or, about to three-peat again. So, I mean, I don't know that. Well, let me ask you. I mean, you obviously know. So, does the home field, did that make a difference today in the OU Stanford game? Did that make a difference?
I don't think so. I just think it comes down to the pitching, and you can't take away from TRA being good in that position. I mean, she's one of the best players in the nation. Like,
man, she gets fired up too.
Yes.
She is such an emotional player.
Yes.
I mean, she is fired up. Yeah.
And she was due because the Stanford pitcher struck her out 4 of the 5 previous times. Like, she was due, and in her after game interview, she was like, I just keep swinging. Like, that's what I had to do, in which she did. She won it for him. So.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. We're talking about, Benny being a softball fan for the last probably 2 years, but, Montana Fouts, pitcher at Alabama, has had a great career. I don't know if you saw the video or not. It's been going around Instagram and Twitter about her kind of thank you to the game, which was just amazing. You know, I mean, she talked about, you know, all the things we've talked about today and things that you've said about being, you know, this is a team. This is, you know, my relationship with Christ and my relationship with my talent. You know, those things come paramount. This team is a family for me. Talk about your last game and what were your emotions there and what were your thoughts kind of as you reflected on that?
So my senior year, I really didn't play that much.
Right.
Definitely probably one of the hardest seasons, not even from the softball perspective. I had a rough start to my senior year, actually. I lost both of my grandparents within 3 days to COVID.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how I started.
Wow.
We were in Arizona at Arizona State, and I caught a flight in mid-game to come back for a funeral. And what's bad is I just got a hit and got on base, and we went to
Oh,
and I had to run off the field and change in the park.
Oh man.
But
So I don't want to bring up, you know, and this is not something you want to talk about. Just tell me, but how does that happen? I mean, you get a base hit and then you come to the dugout. Who tells you that?
Well, we had it scheduled. So I came home for my grandma's visitation and stuff, and then I drove back to Stillwater. And her funeral was that Wednesday morning that we flew out and practiced. And my coach called me because I knew my mom wasn't going to call my coach unless it was time for my grandpa to pass away.
Man.
And so we were in the middle of practice, and I was actually shagging, dancing, doing cartwhells in the outfield. If you want me to be honest.
There we go. Take a little TikTok.
Probably on
Okay.
TikTok.
All right.
Probably was. And my coach hollers at me, and I knew that that's what it was, and I threw my glove.
Oh man.
That was the last phone call that I had with my grandpa. So,
Man.
And then obviously, of course, my mom and my dad are both like, you know, they would want you to stay there and play, that they're going to be watching over you and this, and that. And my team was there more than anything. I couldn't ask for a better group of girls to be there with, but I got through the first game, I think, or first practice pregame that morning. And I was like, Mom, I have to come home. This is too much.
Yeah.
And then I made it through the first night, and then I was like, I got to fly out. And then we had a game that morning, and then my flight was that afternoon, and I was like, I'll play as much as I can, but then I had to leave mid-game. Our AD was in there, she has to go. She's going to miss her flight. And I was like, no, let me finish this inning. He's like, no, you have to go now.
Let me get this bat in. Let me get this bat in. Yeah. Well, and I'm going to tell you, and this took me a long time to learn, and I think being a father probably helped me learn this a little bit, but you know, there are moments in this life that transcend sports. They transcend, you know, softball. They transcend your family there. I'm telling you, when my grandmother and grandpa passed away, you couldn't have kept me away from there with anything. And I know they would have wanted me to play, and I know that, you know, they would have loved to have seen me play and things like that. But I mean, I think what a testament to you as a granddaughter and as a daughter and as a human being, that, you know, this is my senior year. This is the biggest stage of my life. And I'm going to pass on that and go be with my family. I mean, gosh, that's good stuff right there. I mean, that speaks to you as a person.
And I think that's a lot of people don't see that side. It's always, oh, you got to play there. That's such a privilege and this and that, but they don't always see what we give up.
That's right.
So for 5 years, I came home once or twice in the summer, and then once for Christmas break. We don't really get a fall break. We don't get a spring break. We don't.
Right, yeah, because you're practicing, you're working out. Yeah.
And then as soon as the World Series is, when we make it to the World Series, we get a week off, and then it's back into voluntary and optional workouts. But if you want to play and be in the lineup, obviously
it's not voluntary
every single day.
That's not voluntary at all.
And you miss all the birthdays. I miss my sisters. Me and my sister had the same birthday 5 years apart, and
how cool is that?
I missed her graduation, and she doesn't let me live it down.
Oh,
so
you really don't think about the stuff you guys miss.
Yeah.
And so I missed that. I missed birthdays, and I think me and my sister, when I went to college, that was the first year we didn't spend birthdays together. So,
awesome. And I mean, it's an awesome testament. I mean, I'll argue this with anybody. I mean, the decisions that you made, I mean, you would make them again in a heartbeat. And I think the majority of people would. So I mean, kudos to you. I mean, I think, like I said, I mean, that's a big time decision, but it really wasn't for you, was it? I mean, it was, I'm going to be there. Yeah.
He did give me the option, and he told me, he was like, whatever you need, just let me know. And of course, at first I was like, okay, my parents are right, like I need to be here. But the longer I sat in that hotel room by myself,
By
it
yourself.
was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's time to go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it.
Well, we're about out of time.
I got one more question. This is your first year as head coach, right?
Yes.
So you just wrapped up your first season. Playing versus coaching, which one do you prefer? Like right now, which one would you pick, playing or coaching? I mean, I would pick coaching all day long.
Probably playing, because
Okay.
it is hard to make the lineup. It is hard to put people, like, they deserve to play, but this person's a little bit better. How do you put the batters in the lineup to get hits there and stuff like that and win a game? So it's definitely more difficult to put a lineup together and win. If you're playing, it's not as, like, stressful. You don't have to be in control of all of that.
Okay, so I wouldn't have expected that answer of the playing is less stressful. I guess you just go out and take care of you. You don't have to worry about everybody else.
Yep.
I get it. So this is your first year there. I had another question for you, but I can't remember. I saw Benny shaking his head, and it made me lose my train of thought.
Well, I'm going to follow up on that. So,
okay, go ahead.
So as a coach, I mean, obviously the game came pretty easy to you. I mean, you play Division I. That's pretty easy coming to you. Now, granted, there's work that goes involved in that, and we talked about that. But how frustrating is it for you whenever you coach a player and you tell a player something and you're like, good Lord, give me a freaking glove and I can go out there and make this play right now. You know, how frustrating is that?
There's definitely times when you explain something and then 2 seconds later they explain it exactly how you just said it back to you and be like,
and don't do
this
it
is
right.
how you do it, right? And I'm like, I just said that. You could have just said yes and went on. But I definitely have learned to have patience. I think that's probably one of my best things that I've learned is to have patience, that I can't expect them to play how I can play. So
yeah. No, that's great. And I'm telling you, I can't, you know, this, I could go on for hours. So, I mean, we could sit here and I could listen to you talk and tell stories for hours,
but you got to save it because you're coming back before the start of next year, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So,
We're going to get you back on. We're going to break
when does
down.
your softball season start? When does I don't know when that is. Is it December-ish?
First week of August.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
It's spring.
You guys start actually before school starts, right?
I thought it was
think
spring.
So that we can, we slow pitch.
Oh, you got slow pitch and then fast pitch.
Yeah, fast pitch in the fall, slow pitch in spring. Yeah.
Okay. Is that right? Fast pitch in the fall, slow pitch in the spring. Okay, so you're going to come on and you're going to do a fast pitch preview for the Allen. What are y'all? The Allen what?
Mustangs. Man, come on,
dude, how
bro.
would I know that? How would I know that?
On.
All right, so we're going to get a preview of the local Allen Mustangs.
Yep.
And then we'll come on again to give a preview for the Allen Mustangs in the spring.
Yep.
And at that point, we can start talking about the season of NCAA, right? Because that's when that's going on. Kind of we're right in the meat of that potential. Okay,
we'll get it mapped out.
So, I mean, we're about to have some regular guests on here. AJ may never come back. AJ can stay.
We don't need him.
He can stay in the Dominican.
I hear that he's, you know, talking to his ancestors and doing some things out there.
He's not going to remember this trip
in Puerto Rico, so that's good for him.
Did you see his post today on Facebook? Surround yourself with people that love you and that you love. And I was like, that's not even AJ. I don't know who put that on there.
No,
that doesn't sound like AJ at all.
Somebody took his phone.
His wife or his daughter took his phone.
Yeah. All right, I got one final question, and we'll let you go. I know we've taken up a ton of your time already, but we appreciate it. But so my one of my favorite softball girls, Reese Trimmer. She is the greatest. She's the greatest personality. She plays pitcher for us, leads off for Coach Pitch. So she had a question. She recorded it. I don't know if you can see it. She recorded it on her trampoline. So I'm going to give you a little Reese Trimmer, and you can answer that. So here we go.
How are you such a good softball player?
Did you hear that? Let me play it again.
What was the first part?
How are you such a good softball player?
How are you such a good softball player?
It definitely takes time and learning how to not want to be with, like, I guess in high school, when I say I literally went from home to school to the softball field to church back to the softball field and home. You got to sacrifice going with friends and stuff like that, putting in the extra work. because, of course, everybody wants to have their group of friends and go and hang out and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you want to be good and be the best and play at the next level, you got to sacrifice time for yourself to get better. So
that's right. Great advice. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm throwing out the invite. Oklahoma Battle next Sunday on the 11th. We're having our team party. You want to come? I'm cooking. You come, hang out with the girls.
Are you talking to me or to her?
I'm not talking to you, Chad. No. So, but no, Micheala,
I like to eat.
Thank you so much. I mean,
Yes,
this has been
much,
awesome. I mean, we're just three guys that love to talk about sports and love to talk about local folks especially, and some of the things that you're doing is just phenomenal. Can't say enough about your D1 career, and then now you break it down into coaching, doing high school, doing your travel ball stuff. I mean, I'm excited to see what the future holds for you, and just super appreciative of you coming on and being with us.
thank you.
Yeah. So now is the time for you to tell everybody where to follow you, by the way.
Yep. Give us your ads.
Give us all the social. Tell us where
to. Twitter is Shada, SHAEDA 11. I think my Instagram is ShadaRich_2. I'm not giving my TikTok.
What's that TikTok?
Oh, she's not going to give a TikTok.
It's okay. If you
we'll find it. Don't worry.
If you check out my Twitter at Chad610, I shared her TikTok video, and in the very bottom corner, it shows where to find her at. So
nice.
She's going to gain a couple of followers today.
There we go.
My TikTok is BOWW32.
Oh,
right,
see, we didn't even have to we didn't have to send everybody super sleuths out there. We got it. It was great. It was quite funny.
Well, Micheala, thank you so much. We're going to have you on again. Kinley wants to come on and wave bye to you. So she's been listening. So she's excited. Thanks for coming on. We're going to get you on again. We'll talk some more softball in the fall to kind of preview your season and stuff like that. So,
all right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Man, that's a great show, dude.
Chatty. Man, you kidding me?
So what's funny is I missed a ton of it. I missed about 35 minutes of it, and I cannot wait. I'm going to load this up tonight so I can listen to it tomorrow. I am so excited to hear everything she talked about. I think it sounded like it was a great time, and she has a natural charisma, and you could just listen to her talk all day, a lot like Dan Cody was that night. You could just listen to her talk. So it's a lot of fun.
Right.
I'm excited.
I mean, and I'm telling you, man, we've never met. I mean, I've never met her in person. I got hooked up with her through, like I said, a high school friend of mine. And, I mean, everybody that you talk to that knows her, she is a phenomenal human being. I mean, not just a phenomenal softball player, not just a good coach, great human being. And I think that's what it takes to coach kids and to be passionate about what you do. So just super happy that she came on. I think this was great. So looking forward to it again.
So Allen Mustangs, they start in the fall. So if they're around this area, we'll definitely come out and watch them. We'll have to have a road trip out to go see them play.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We can do that for sure.
Are they pretty salty? I mean, are they pretty good or?
Yeah. I mean, she was talking about that, 2 years ago, they won one game. 2 years ago, they won one game. She went 24, 28 and 12, something like that. She'd said.
Oh, her first year.
Her first year. Yeah. Are you kidding?
Wow.
So the freshman class there at Allen, and I talked about Cherish Woodward. There's a Prentice girl. I think her first name's Kennedy Prentice, I think maybe. But they're local families, been in Allen forever. Caleb is Cherish's dad. He's a great friend of mine. We've been best friends since we were in first grade. So their freshman class, those were freshman girls this year. They're going to be sophomores. I mean, I think she's going to get them rolling pretty quickly. So
that's awesome, man.
I mean, it's just great. I mean, just great for her. And you can tell by the way that she just presents herself and by the way that she talks and does things. I mean, she's a motivator. I mean, gosh, she motivated me. I mean, I don't know what I have to offer left in the tank, but we'll see. So
that's awesome. All right. So we're going to bounce out of here. Hour and 15 minutes. We did a pretty good job.
Good job. Absolutely.
Next week.
We'll get AJ back next week.
What are we talking
break down some bad decisions that AJ made while he was in the Dominican. If we can get into that, I hear there's some video evidence out there, so we'll get into that, and then we're going to have mini camps firing up soon. OTA's already started, so little football, talk NBA Finals. I'm still on the Nuggets. The Nuggets are tied it up
1-1, right?
Heat tied it up 1-1 last night. I still like the Nuggets in 5. Still like the Golden Knights in 6. They looked really good the other night. So
Benny, you want to
Next
give
week,
your
be a good
socials out?
yeah, it's Benny. Just follow me. Just find me. You can find
Benjamin
me.
Lewis 10 on Twitter. I'm
There we go.
Cheddar610. Guys, we will see y'all next week.
All right, Chatty. See you, buddy.
See you guys.